Creaky stool. I'm back, everybody. Finally. I've finally hit the record button. Although, tough luck, apparently this movie will be awful. Go figure. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Bradbury. I'm based in Stockport, Greater Manchester, and currently in local lockdown. Anyway, and I am a commercial and portrait photographer. Now, I put a video out a little while ago saying that I'm going to focus on my strengths as a photographer, both business-wise and also tutorial content-wise, so content for this channel. So focusing on portrait photography. Now, it's going to be a little while till I can get people into the studio safely and show demos of shooting, demos of how to light and so forth. In particular at the moment, because we're in a local lockdown in Greater Manchester, but obviously with what's going on with COVID-19, it's a bit of a problem at the moment. So they will come in the future. In the meantime, what I would like to do with this channel is answer questions sent in through the Facebook group, through DM, through Instagram, email, what have you, and open up those. So it may make the channel, I don't know, jump around a little bit as a result, but it's just to get going with some content. Now, what I'd like to discuss first, in particular, and what this video is about, is what is portrait photography, and some of my thoughts, philosophies on that, and what I feel that we should be thinking about as photographers, certainly as portrait photographers or budding portrait photographers that we may be. So let's get into it. Okay, now what is a portrait? Now I'll have to consult Wikipedia here, and I've made some notes because me and scripting videos doesn't normally happen. I normally absolutely wing it, so we'll see how this goes. Right, a portrait is a painting, photograph, sculpture or other artistic representation of a person in which the face and its expression, let's underscore in bold expression, and its expression are predominant. So remember, we need to see the person's face. Okay, I think some portrait work shifted away from that, but anyway, need to see the person's face and need to see the expression. Now, for us to be able to see the expression on the face, there has to actually be some expression and not just see a lot of that online. And to get to an expression, a feeling, a mood, and an emotion, other than how we light it, how we shoot it, yep, get to all that, we need to draw something from the portrait sitter and subject. Unfortunately, I feel that portrait photography today has moved away from being an actual portrait of someone in many cases and just an image of a person that's following a common trend of orange and teal. I don't know why that exists, but it does. Or some other post-production lighting trend, certain kind of gear use trend, whatever it may well be. So we've gone down the rabbit hole, unfortunately I feel, of the technical and probably more unfortunately so, of how another person lit, post-produced, edited, what lens did they use, what camera did they use, what gear, how did you do this, how did you do that, how did you do... Far, too far down that rabbit hole versus concentrating on what really we should be focusing on as a portrait photographer. And this needs to happen when you get started. Yes, you've got stuff to learn. A lot of technical, you learn your camera, you learn your lenses, learn your light, how to read and see light, how to control it, be that natural light and strobe, continuous light, whatever it may be, continuous light here. But we need to remember we have a human in front of the lens and camera, and we need to get something that's real. We need to see their face, according to Wikipedia, and the expression. So we need to spend time drawing something real from them. Now, I think definitely more so in today's modern world, people tend to put out a persona, something a little bit larger than life, rather than the real them. And I think it's probably a safe bet, you know, play it safe, don't want to put myself all out there yet. So we'll show this side of me or this version of me. And you see very, very different people online versus, say, in real life in many cases. And I totally get why people do that. I understand that. We see it day to day in the media. It's kind of become the norm. I have concerns over what it does to people psychologically. But it kind of is what it is at the moment, and it's here. Our job as a portrait photographer isn't to shoot like the next guy down the road, to shoot the same kind of images, to shoot with the same kind of lighting, the same modifier, shoot in the same way. Our job is we need to know all the technical stuff. That needs to get out of the way. It needs to be down, pat, and done, second nature. Roll out of bed, pick your camera up, you know what to dial in. That takes time, but what we need to do is spend more time on the person we have in front of the lens, getting to know them, getting to know their story. Know your subject that you're going to be photographing, and this is true of any genre of photography, whether you photograph cars, food, whatever it may well be. You have to have an understanding of the industry, of course. You have to have an understanding of the subject as well. That will guide and inform on how you're going to approach shooting things. And we need to focus on that with portraits, certainly. Spend more time getting to know the person, more time getting something real and genuine from them, a real emotion, a real moment, a real feeling. And I bet you, whilst they may not potentially pick that photograph themselves, because everyone's heavily edited and where are we? I don't know, everything's controlled in terms of what they put out today. Their Instagram feeds are curated. That's the word I was looking for. Wow. Okay. Heavily curated, if I can talk. But if you show photographs of them, you know, typical kind of selfie photographs, day-to-day, typical kind of photographs that they may put up online, versus one which shows a genuine moment from them, a genuine reaction to something, a certain mannerism that they always show, something that's real that their family and friends know, they will go for that picture over the general Instagram, Snapchat, whatever you want to call it, every single time. And we have to work to get to know the person, to draw something real and draw that from them. And I think that really is one of the hardest things to learn as a skill set than all of this technical stuff that we have to learn as well. So you've got to learn the basics, you've got to learn the fundamentals, but then you've got to learn how to deal with people, you've got to learn a little bit how to deal with people psychologically on set, because it's daunting being in front of all of this kit with a camera pointing at you, and there are times you sit and talk for half an hour before you pick up the camera. Getting to know someone, getting to know them, watching their mannerisms, watching what they do, how they interact, their body language, getting a read on them. Those things will take you far further with your portraits than learning the next lighting pattern or learning the next, I don't know, editing phase that comes around. I truly believe that. Now, I heard a quote a while ago. Now, I'm not normally one for quotes, but this one kind of stuck with me. Every portrait is a war between the sitter's vanity, some people are particularly vain these days, and the photographer's guile. And I think that's very, very true in today's world. So as a portrait photographer, you have to be willing to kind of push your subject to get something from them. Obviously, not too far, because it could backfire on you. And you're balancing that with the person's vanity, or maybe their lack of as well. So you need to make them comfortable and get them more comfortable with the process. And that takes time on set to do. And it's not about the gear. It's about interacting and relating to them as a human and getting to know them. Now, we all start somewhere with this stuff, be it in portrait photography and other genres as well. There's a lot to learn, I get that. It can be overwhelming, I get that. The tutorials that I've got coming up, I hopefully will help you with part of that. And yes, it's important to learn how to read light and see light and so forth. And I get the irony of me talking about doing tutorials on technical stuff coming up after saying we need to focus on the portrait and the person. We need both. you know, to make it work ultimately. But I think we need to put the person and getting to know them and the actual portrait to the top of the list in many ways. So regarding getting started with this, keep it simple. Keep it simple. Don't overwhelm yourself with gear. And remember, you have another human being on set in front of your camera. You're nervous, they're nervous. What a disaster that's going to be, right? But listen, you've got to start somewhere. Talk, get to know, okay? Start slow, keep it simple with the setups. And ultimately, we need to be working on creating better portraits, real images of the real person that we have in front of us versus the quote-unquote perfect lighting ratio, perfect lighting setup as well. I will guarantee you, you will love portraits more that are less technically correct but show a real person, a real moment, a real reaction, a real expression, a laugh, a cry, whatever it may well be, far, far more than it being perfect on a technical basis. They are always, always, always the stronger image, I guarantee you. Thank you very much for listening and watching as well. I hope this has been useful. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you have a completely different take on this? I've got more videos like this coming up, and as I get going, hopefully I'll get better at presenting them as well. This is early days. And if you want a fun drinking game, every time I say in a video, I don't know whether I've done it that often in this one, probably have, take a drink. You'll be rat-assed in no time. Don't do that. So take care, stay safe, enjoy the process, enjoy the learning, and remember, get to know the person in front of the camera and make something real, a real portrait. Catch you in the next video, guys. Thanks. Bye.